Oh, we're back. It's December. Wyatt. Oh my gosh. It is great to be back here with you on Man versus Machine, ready to crush the last week of the fantasy regular season. Week 14 is upon us. Week 13 in the books. We're so close. We can taste the playoffs. I feel like this is the best, like, my dynasty leagues have been in position in probably 3 years. Like, look, I made some mistakes a few years ago by drafting Jalen Reagor and Henry Ruggs over Justin Jefferson. And some of my dynasty teams have not recovered since until 2025. So I feel like I'm in good shape. I'm going to make the playoffs in almost all of these leagues. This is great. Finally recovered. Redemption is here. Wyatt, how are you doing?
Love to hear that. I'm feeling good this week. After week 12, I was feeling rough because I had a really bad week 12. Lamar's been disappointing me in a lot of places. That was a week where it was just like, too many down performances by players you don't expect it, and lost some matchups. And it put me in a position where going into week 13, it was like I'm in must-win territory to make sure I can lock up some playoff spots and some seeding and whatnot. And 13 went really well. So now I'm in a spot in 14 where it's like, okay, I know a lot of my teams are going to the playoffs. Most of my teams are going to the playoffs. It's about seeding at this point, locking up those spots. Feeling good. But before we go any further, I want to quickly shout out you, Fantasy Pros Weekly Accuracy Contest this week. Top 10 finish. Love to see it.
Well, iron sharpens iron, Wyatt. It's got to be partly you helping me out this year. I don't believe that, any of these things are done in a vacuum. Really, it is it's an honor to always compete against some of the best. And in this, like, for those who are not familiar with this contest, it's not just like Joe Schmo can submit their rankings. Like, you have to either be sponsored by a company and like prove yourself through that company, or you have to do it silently for a year behind the scenes and it doesn't count at all. So you have to earn your way into this contest. And there's almost 200 rankers that end up being in this. And Wyatt, you've always had strong success in this contest. And Wyatt, you also finished top 30. So it's nothing to sneeze at. Last year was pretty rough for me, but finally redemption.
Yeah. I'm all in all, this season is honestly like my worst season in like 4 years doing rankings. I'm not doing bad. I'm just not at the level that I'm used to doing. And this is actually the first year I haven't had a top 10 finish yet for a week. I normally get a couple.
We've got a few more weeks, Wyatt.
I know. So I got to get one. I can't go a year without a top 10 finish for a week. So hopefully, we'll finish this year strong.
I'm in foreign territory right now, Wyatt, because I've had, I don't know, probably I've been doing this. I think this is year 4 or 5 doing these rankings. 21. Yeah. So I think this is year 5. And I've had lots of like top 10 weekly finishes, and I've had one like number 1 overall weekly finish.
Yeah.
But I've never had a end of year top 10 positional finish. And I'm in position right now.
Running back, right?
At running back, I'm number 9. And it's like, I need to make sure that I'm crushing running back the rest of the way. Screw tight end, screw quarterback. I got to make sure I get running back right, because that's something that, because it's top 10 that gets a little like certificate or banner or what, like,
I believe so.
Top 10? So I don't have one of those for the core 4 positions, and I'm really like gonna have to focus over the next 4 weeks to make sure that running back is gotten right here.
I believe in you.
Oh, thank you. Well, I also believe in us and the advice that we're gonna give as we approach the fantasy playoffs. Wyatt and I are gonna give you some players that are not your set it and forget it guys. You're going to be starting Jonathan Taylor. You're going to be starting your Christian McCaffreys. You're going to be starting, I mean, I don't know. Maybe we need to talk about Lamar at some point in this podcast, but at some point, there are guys who aren't set it and forget it guys, who are not necessarily like deepest cuts, but flex options that have high upside or have increased opportunities or may have a chance to just hit very big and make a way into your lineup if you have a flex or multiple flex positions, depending upon your league settings, that we want you to be targeting either on the waiver wire or to find a way to get them in your lineup. So we've got each of us are providing 5 players, some wide receivers, running backs, even some tight ends sprinkled in. They're wide, even though I'm doing my best Billy Muzio impression. And at one point I was like 140th in tight end rankings, which is disaster.
Brutal.
The diametric opposition of top 10
Yeah.
back and then 140th and now it's something like 110. So I'm getting better. Nevertheless, White and I are going to bring it today. Some playoff sleepers and stashes you need to get into your lineup. So Wyatt, why don't you hit us with your first sleeper for the fantasy playoffs that people should be putting in the lineups or getting off the waiver wire?
Colston Loveland. I really think that towards the end of the year here, he's going to be really helping the Bears offense and producing for us. And really, he's kind of already producing right now. Over the last 7 games, he's averaging 11.3 PPR points per game. Now, that's on just a 14.8% target share. Not loving the target share, but I do think it's something that can grow over the season, over the end of the season, because I think the Bears are getting to this point where they're like really honing in on what's working in the offense. And it's not really DJ Moore. I mean, we see him pop up every once in a while, but it's not consistent. Rome Odunze has been really inconsistent at this point. And I think Colston Loveland can continue to grow. He's like obviously a very talented player when you see him out there whenever he gets an opportunity. Like I said, 11.3 points per game, even on that little bit of lower target share. So he's efficient. He's an efficient player. So I think he's going to continue to grow in the offense, and he's going to be someone who you can rely on through the rest of the season.
Yeah, he's been mostly involved, a majority snap share since week number 7, 65%. He's not gotten any lower than, week 13, 58% ever since week 7. And he's had at least...
That was a weird script where they ran the crap out of the ball.
You try to find a way to beat the Eagles.
Yeah.
You know, and Cole Kmet is still like a professional NFL caliber tight end. He's not going to just go away. But Loveland does have at least 3 receptions in every single game since week 7. And has the chance to have blow up games. So I like that call. We tend to see rookies, especially the profile that is Colston Loveland, hit near the end of the season. So we like the snap share. We like that he's involved. And the peaking near the end of the year. Colston Loveland on the Chicago Bears. I guess my only other question about Loveland is not necessarily about him and his talent, but what is your read on Caleb Williams as quarterbacking? Because he's had flashes and he certainly has talent, but we've also seen like 55% completion rates and just straight misses. So how do you think Caleb Williams is going to be affecting Colston Loveland or maybe just the Bears offense in general the last down the stretch here?
Caleb obviously still has a lot of room to grow and improve right now, but I think that he's also running the offense well. I think he's going where the ball is supposed to go more often than not based on Ben Johnson's offense. I think he's just still settling in with his accuracy. Like, I don't think he's picking the wrong places to throw the ball. I think he's having a hard time getting the ball where he wants it to go when he chooses the correct place to throw it. Which obviously is not great, but I like that he's making the right reads in the offense. He just has to really settle in and get that offense or get that accuracy locked in.
Before we move on to my first player, there is a question in the chat about Kyle Monangai, because we saw DeAndre Swift and Monangai just absolutely run all over Philadelphia this past week. So what are our thoughts on Monangai moving forward? Should we start him, keep him on the bench? He's not droppable. I mean, had Philly given up 100-yard rusher the entire year, and then they give up 2 in one game? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I think you kind of have to start DeAndre Swift and Kyle Monangai both kind of rest of the season. Like, how do I put this? Like, in a standard league where you start 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers in a flex, like, Monangai is among the top 72 players, 72 skill position players. Like, he should be started. He might be on a team where you're loaded and it's hard to fit him in, but just like in general, he's among that tier of player that should be started.
Love it. Great question there, Josh. I agree. He's now splitting 50-50 with Swift. Swift is playing more of the passing down work and is getting a lot of the snaps. But when Monangai's on the field, he's shown dynamism. He's shown breakaway speed. These chunk plays, and he's now clearly part of the Bears' offensive plans moving forward. If you have him as a flex option, I think that's a good play. All right. My first player off the board is someone who's poised to come back, and he might not get 1,000 yards receiving. He might be on your waiver wire, especially if you don't have IR spots and a small bench. Mike Evans is supposed to be returning here soon. They opened his window, and people are forgetting about Mike Evans. Okay, maybe you'll come at me. Not in my league, Bradley. Not in my league. Mike Evans, what are you talking about? So, no, like, we want Mike Evans on our team. We know that they're not going to get him 1,000 yards over the last, 5 weeks. He'd have to average something like 170 yards a game to get there. Like, let's not play two ways about it, but there is historically precedent for Mike Evans to be force-fed the ball. And he also is the goal line wide receiver. Emeka Egbuka wins down the field. But since Baker Mayfield has suffered his shoulder injury weeks ago, there's data on this, that Emeka Egbuka is leaving a lot of points on the table because of Baker's lack of accuracy down the field. Mike Evans probably going to operate closer to the line of scrimmage than Egbuka. So I want you to be putting Mike Evans back on your bench. And if we see it after 1 week, he's ramped up, ready to go. This is a player who has historically been very, very strong. And Baker is now weeks removed from this injury. By the time Evans ramps up, Baker should be more healed. This is the logic that I'm using for stashing a player like Mike Evans, even though he's been out for the majority of the year.
Mike Evans needs to be on a roster, period. I would not start him right away if he plays. I, like you, I want to see it first just to make sure, because basically you're going to have to choose to start him in the fantasy playoffs coming back from the injury. So, and that's a tough ask. But if you see it, then I think you can play him. But he should definitely be on a roster.
Yeah, and this is you're betting on historical. You're betting on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as an offense. I mean, we look at what Mike Evans did during the first 3 weeks that he played. I mean, he put up 13 fantasy points against Sauce Gardner in week 3. So, like, it's a respectable amount against a very good defensive back. And before that, he had 8 and 11 targets, double-digit fantasy points in every game that he played, majority of snaps. So, yeah, once he gets ramped up, I want to see it first. But this is a player that should end up being a flex play for you down the stretch, regardless of the situation. I know Jalen McMillan is expected to have his window opened as well, but that's not going to move the needle for me for Mike Evans. No. Yeah, give me some Mike Evans as a flex option after the ramp up period. Okay, Wyatt, we're going to do it a little out of order. So let's go with your next player from Arizona.
Okay. Yeah, Zonovan Knight. Um, so Bam Knight has kind of taken over that job while Trey Benson's been out. It took a week. At first, it was kind of Michael Carter, and then like they kind of surprised us, like actually it's going to be Bam Knight here. But after he's taken over, he's been a serviceable running back for our fantasy teams. 11.3 PPR points per game over the last 7 games. With a time 13.4 opportunities per game, which is not fantastic, but it's a solid amount. Basically, he's just been a fine low end RB2 for us. And yes, Trey Benson's about to come back, but the point is that this should not be somebody that you now release back to the waiver wire. He should stay on your team because now we know that he is a handcuff to Trey Benson, and there's no guarantee that Trey Benson stays healthy. So this is just a don't get rid of him. Hang on to him. If you can still hang on to him, I think you should.
Yeah, Bam Knight with 5 top 24 weeks, and he's been a top 18 running back each of the last 3. He's had at least 3 receptions in each of the last 3 games. So he's getting it done. He's got some volume. He had over 50% snap share in week number 13. He's running routes pretty consistently. 98 total yards against Tampa Bay. Touchdowns in 3 straight games. We don't know if Trey Benson is going to get a significant load right off the bat either. So, yeah, I think we keep Zonovan Knight, and he's clearly the handcuff. But that does kind of tie into my next selection, which is Trey Benson. Because before the injury to Trey Benson, it was Benson. And Benson has been on the depth chart for the last 2 seasons, the handcuff to James Conner. This is what we had been like when Trey Benson was drafted. We thought to ourselves, this is the heir apparent in the Arizona Cardinals backfield. Day 2 draft pick, best comparable player, J.K. Dobbins, according to playerprofiler.com, 97th percentile 40-yard dash, 98th percentile speed score. Like, he's got speed on speed. His major flaw, though, is vision. Like, he just can't hit a hole very well. But when he does, he can go. And so, on the year, 5.5 yards per carry. And before the injury was getting involved in the passing game, like weeks 2, 3, 4, 4 receptions, 3 receptions, 5 receptions. So, yeah, like he also can be a top 72 play. And if we saw what Bam Knight was able to do, Bam Knight has floated around the NFL. He's just a guy in backfields. Like, if we remember his Detroit Lions days where he was backing up DeAndre Swift and getting meaningful carries when Swift was out. So I do think that there is pedigree behind Benson. Maybe it'll take 1 week, but I don't anticipate this is like a Zonovan Knight holds off Trey Benson for long. There will be like a changing of the guard as long as Benson does come back off the IR and he's healthy.
Yeah, Benson is similar to Mike Evans to me in that he may have been dropped to the wire because if your league doesn't have IR spots or whatever reason, he needs to be on rosters, except he's a little bit easier to start first week back than Mike Evans because of the way running backs work versus wide receivers, where wide receivers are competing with multiple other players to earn the target, whereas running backs is kind of like whoever, if he's on the field, he's the one guy who can get it, and if he's healthy, he'll be on the field.
All right, Wyatt, we're going to give you one more player, and then we're going to take a break. When we get back from the break, some more flex plays, playoff sleepers, and stashes. Hit us with your next player from New Orleans.
This one's real ugly, but Devaughn Vele. Over the last 2 games, 15 targets. That's an 18.1% target share.
Oof.
That 18.1% target share doesn't seem all that great, but the 15 targets does, and it's because the Saints are throwing the ball a lot. Those last 2 games, they had 83 pass attempts between the 2 games. They averaged 35.5 for the season, but this is a team with Tyler Shuck that's that like fun bad team, and they can be that where they're not a good team at all. But Tyler Shuck and this New Orleans offense, Kellen Moore, wants to run a lot of plays, and Tyler Shuck is like just good enough to keep the plays going, and allow these wide receivers to get some targets, get some catches, all that. Devaughn Vele, I don't know why the Saints decided to trade for him, but they did. And it took a while for us to get here where he was on the field and contributing, but he has the last 2 games. This past week, he had the really nice game. And basically, this is a player where 3 wide receiver league, maybe you're dealing with injuries, times are tough. If you need somebody who you can plug in and play at wide receiver and have confidence that you will actually get some points, Devaughn Vele is that guy.
Oh my gosh. I still can't believe that the Saints traded 2 draft picks. Not
they
just
basically what they got in return for sending away Rashid Shaheed is basically what they sent to get Devaughn Vele.
Oh my gosh. Just
which is ridiculous.
Revisiting that. A 4th round pick in 2026 and a 7th round pick in 2027. He turns
a 27-year-old second-year player.
He turns, he's going to turn 28 here coming up. Like, he's already 27.
Yeah.
Former 7th round. Like, look, he's got decent athletic metrics. This is fine. Like, okay. But trade away Shaheed and you get Devaughn Vele. Gosh,
yeah.
what a swap. Like, bad teams stay bad, Wyatt. That is the takeaway. And, I agree with you. He's definitely a volume, not a talent play.
Yeah.
And if you're desperate times call for desperate Veles, Devaughn Veles. Okay. The jokes aren't hitting very well today.
I liked it.
It's fine. It's okay.
I was a fan.
The pity laugh. It's fine, Wyatt. It's okay. But I look, if he's going to be running 46 and 39 routes, if he's going to be a full-time player getting target volume, like, yeah, it's 18%, but it's 7 and 8 targets, and he's getting red zone looks too. He's gotten 2 red zone looks in the last 2 weeks. Yeah, it could really easily turn into a top 24 performance. And in your deeper leagues, like, I'm in some 16 team, 32 team leagues. Devaughn Vele sometimes is your wide receiver too in these leagues, and desperate times, but that's what you kind of need. You're leaning into some volume. We've seen some injuries. Like, you may have to start Devaughn Vele if Amon-Ra St. Brown is out.
Right.
You might be in that situation.
Yeah.
Yikes. But that's fantasy football for you. You gotta make way with the Devaughn Veles of the world. When we get back, we're gonna look at some more flex plays. But before we do, a word from Matt Kelly about our Flex 6 Frenzy.
I know your sad draft season is over, but just because the NFL season starts doesn't mean the drafting stops. Because Fast Draft has the Flex 6 Frenzy. You're drafting 6 guys for the Sunday slate. It's fast, it's furious, it's fun. And as with everything on Fast Draft, there are no salaries. Woo! So go to draftfaster.com, get the app, use your host promo code for a $50 deposit match. Now let's go start drafting faster.
Go start drafting faster on Fast Draft. Woo! Wyatt, last year I went on the Mind of Mansion podcast with Matt Kelly, and we spent probably, because for those who are not familiar with that podcast, it's like a 2 to 3 hour gauntlet marathon where we just talk about players, about theory, about lots of different things. Matt has a huge just show sheet that we go through. And when I was on last year, it was post NFL draft. And the player that we focused on so much was Blake Corum and Kyren Williams. We spent probably 30 minutes of the 2 hour podcast just on these 2 players. And look, I've loved Kyren Williams since he was coming out of Notre Dame. This was a player that I was overweight on because I saw that he could run the ball and catch the ball. And then he goes to a Sean McVay offense. I was like, okay, well, he's buried, on the depth chart, but he immediately gets special team snaps, which means that McVay trusts him. And then he immediately gets injured. Like, oh, crud. Okay. Then Kyren Williams just shows up. Even though he's a day 3 pick, he crushes. But, we attribute that to this is the offense. Blake Corum drafted in day 2 in the 2024 draft out of the University of Michigan, also an accomplished program. And Corum, before the knee injury, arguably the best running back in NCAA. But then rookie year, running back 80 in fantasy points per game. We're starting to see it in year 2. We're starting to see the changing of the guard. Even the coach speak. Wyatt, I don't know if you caught this today, but the coaches are coming out saying we need to rest Kyren a little bit more for the playoffs because we want to make a run. And Blake Corum has been consistently since week 6 between 20 and 40% snap share. And he's been getting 12, 13, 8, 7 carries. But between 1 and 3 red zone carries since week 6, every game, he's getting trusted with this. So Blake Corum is a guy that I want to be stashing. Not only because the Rams are good, and not only because the Rams are going to obliterate Arizona, like they are 8-point favorites in week 14. Like it is possible that the game just gets out of hand. Like the Rams were embarrassed by Carolina, upset by Carolina. And then you come back at home, 8-point favorites. Yeah, Corum's going to get some work and has a touchdown possibility, but this offense is just so good, and I've been a stan of Blake Corum for some time. I think this might be a start of the changing of the guard, given the coach speak, given his involvement. What do you think, Wyatt?
I think Blake Corum's probably the top handcuff in the league. If we were going to think about it, like if Kyren was injured in a game, we'd be ranking Blake Corum in the top 10 pretty easily at running back. It used to be they gave him like every 4th drive to himself as a way to rest Kyren, and now it's become like every 3rd drive, and maybe sometimes a little bit more often than that to give Corum those looks in the offense and give him some time. And he's done very well. He's done very well with the opportunities. I almost put him on my list. The only reason why I didn't is because I thought it was almost too obvious. Like I hope everybody is aware that Blake Corum could be a league winner down the stretch. If anything happens to Kyren, he's a league winner. He also has a little bit of standalone viability. If you're in a pinch, you can flex Corum, especially in a matchup like against the Cardinals, where we expect them to put up a lot of points and be up in the game and run the ball. Corum could get in there pretty easily. So yeah, I love the call.
Corum on the season, RB 15 in true yards per carry, RB 6 in juke rate, RB 4 in explosive rating. And he is RB 24 in breakaway runs, despite the fact that he is RB 40 in carries.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Chunk gain after chunk gain when he gets on the field.
And then the Rams have had a great game script. They're number 2 in game script. So yeah, and they're going to continue to have good game scripts moving forward. Give me some Blake Corum.
Yeah.
All right, his with your next one, Wyatt.
Jakobi Meyers, his first game with the Jaguars, starts getting his feet wet with them. But then over the last 3 games now, he's got 22.8% target share. He's averaging 15.9 PPR points per game. This last game with Brian Thomas, the first game of them together, Jakobi Meyers led the room. He played almost all the snaps, ran almost all the routes. Brian Thomas was sitting around 3/4 of the snaps and routes, whereas, like I said, Jakobi Meyers was an every down player for them, basically. And he played very well. I think that Jakobi Meyers is a wide receiver 2 rest of the season. And I'm sure there are a lot of people who were not expecting that out of him anymore this year. This situation seems muddy, but it actually isn't as muddy, especially with Parker Washington leaving the game early this past week. Can help consolidate things a little bit more. I think Jakobi Meyers is just going to be really reliable down the stretch for the Jaguars. Because the Jaguars needed reliability because they were having a hard time finding that for most of the season. Jakobi Meyers is just a solid, reliable, consistent wide receiver who I think fits what Liam Cohen wants to do. It's a little bit of the word out on the street. I was hearing that Jakobi Meyers kind of fits what Liam Cohen likes to do in the offense. Is good with doing the dirty work, good going to get across the middle, doing all that kind of stuff. So yeah, he's going to be solid for some championship teams.
Jakobi Meyers won top 24 finish before the trade. Over the last 3 weeks, every finish has been a top 24 finish. 5 for 64, 4 for 50 and a touchdown, 6 for 90 and a touchdown. Yeah. And he's set a season high with a 96.7% snap share when he was on the Jags. Like, he's clearly ramped up, clearly full-time wide receiver. And you talked about like stability. Like, Jakobi Meyers is the modern Tyler Lockett. Like, this is a player who just, he can catch the ball. And I agree with you. That's something that the Jaguars were lacking because you have Brian Thomas. What is going on with him? Like, okay, maybe we need to have the conversation of like, what do you do with Brian Thomas? Because he was a borderline first-round pick in most of our fantasy drafts this year. There was a lot of upside, big play potential. We could see that in year one. Was it because Mac Jones was the quarterback and Lawrence just doesn't have the chemistry with Brian Thomas? Was there the frustration there? Or is it something else? Is it that, he isn't sure if he's the number one because Travis Hunter at the time is commanding targets, but Travis Hunter is also not playing full-time role, so that's not consistent. Like, maybe Jakobi Meyers is the answer to who's going to be the go-to guy for Trevor Lawrence.
I think it's a confluence of factors for Brian Thomas is why things didn't work out this year. A lot of things are happening, but the point is that this is what we're left with. And, I don't know what's going to happen to him. Wouldn't surprise me if he's not on the team next year. They trade him or something just because clearly there's something going on. I don't know what it is, but for him to have this big of a drop off, something's happening.
Yeah, there have been rumors and rumblings that Brian Thomas could have gotten traded at the deadline. I thought that was just wild. He must have alienated his coaching staff. Like, if that's the rumblings into year two after a really strong year one, that
one of the best rookie seasons ever for a wide receiver.
Right. So, but the Jags do go out and spend the number 2 overall pick on a wide receiver / cornerback. But yeah, the lack of commitment is frustrating there. Mm-hmm. So, okay, Zigsta has the question. We did kind of talk about Mike Evans earlier. So is he worth picking up and sticking on IR? Absolutely. Like, that's the takeaway here. If you missed the Mike Evans blurb, just rewind a little bit. He was one of my picks. So yeah, definitely go and be strategic. This is a strategic move. Go get Mike Evans. All right. We're going to stay with the Jags. Yeah. I like staying with the Jags because Trevor Lawrence, he likes his tight ends. And whether it was Evan Ingram back in the day, or now we get Brenton Strange. Now, last year when Ingram was out, Strange played very well. Like, we knew this coming into 2025 because we look at the game logs from 2024, and in the games where he played at least 66%, so 2/3 of the snaps. This was 2024. This was going into this year. Strange finishes the tight end 9, the tight end 8, the tight end 24, the tight end 9, and then the tight end 2, tight end 52, and tight end 16. So the majority of them were top 10 finishes.
Yep.
When he gets the opportunity. So fast forward, Evan Ingram leaves. He goes to Denver. And yeah, for the first 5 weeks, we only see really one top 10 performance from Brenton Strange. But 2 of the 5 weeks, he had 7 targets, 6 receptions. Now, since he's been back from the injured reserve, he's been the tight end 4 and the tight end 7 in fantasy points on the week. So, yeah, he's involved in this offense. He is a safety outlet. You talk about the offense shifting from big play potential and just missing plays down the field, like Travis Hunter, who's explosive, and Brian Thomas, who's explosive. The offense is kind of consolidated for Jacksonville too. We're going to be more conservative. We're going to make sure we get it to the guys who have surer hands. Jakobi Meyers, sure hands guy, and Brenton Strange. 9 targets over the last 2 weeks, 8 receptions. Yeah. So I'm putting Brenton Strange in some of my tight end premium leagues in the flex. Like that's even, he might be the tight end 2 on my team, and he's getting the flex nod in those types of leagues. So give me some Brenton Strange down the stretch as a reliable tight end, top 10 tight end moving forward.
Yeah, similar to Jakobi Meyers. He's just a consistent player for the offense. He has been all year. I was shouting him out very early on in the year that I thought this was like a fringe tight end 1 rest of the season. Unfortunately, he gets injured, but he's picked up right where he left off when he came back. So, yeah, love it. I
also love it. All right. I mean, look, we're really leaning in. I don't know if y'all have seen, have picked up on this, have figured out the trend, but Wyatt and I really do love the Jaguars.
Yeah, surprisingly.
So why don't you hit us with your final player for the night, Wyatt?
Yeah, it's Bhayshul Tuten. And like, I know we talked about 3 Jaguars players here, but I mean, the Jaguars are putting up offense. They're putting up points. It's ugly a lot of times because Trevor Lawrence is ugly with how he plays a lot of times, but
he's got the good looking locks. Wyatt,
yeah,
come on.
But the fantasy points, the yards, the touchdowns, they still end up being there at the end of the day. And Bhayshul Tuten has just been a really good player for them in the time that he gets on the field. They've really been using him in short yard situations and around the goal line. He's 6th in success rate among running backs, which is why they do this, because he has really good contact balance. He's really explosive, so he can get through the line and stay up in those short yard situations and get those extra yards. He has, similar to Blake Corum, and why I wanted to bring him up is he's probably just one of the top handcuffs in the league, if not, right there with Blake Corum. And if you're in a pinch, you can actually flex him because of how he gets used around the goal line, because the Jaguars like to use their running backs a good amount. And he is getting a decent workload even while Travis Etienne is healthy. So I really think he's going to help teams down the stretch where whether you're in a pinch and you just need somebody to be able to play and flex, or anything happens to Etienne, he's going to help you.
Yeah, a lot of pre-NFL draft Bhayshul Tuten coming through for Bradley's way too early best ball teams. This is the way. Team runs plays per game. The Jaguars have the 5th most on the season. So yeah, he's getting opportunity. Travis Etienne's getting opportunity. Tuten, juke rate 11th among running backs. You love to see it. Not quite, the true yards per carry, but for guys who have been pigeonholed in this goal line situation, that can artificially lower their expected yards per carry because of the goal line. So I wouldn't read too much into that, given that he's 24th in total touchdowns, despite the fact that he's 46th in carries. Right? It's clear that they're using him closer to the goal line. So 30th in red zone touches. There we go. Trusted, but that's an indicator of coaches trusting, and a long-term dynasty selection. I think Tuten is a target in your dynasty leagues, despite the fact that he's a day 3. you want to get him before it's clear that ETN is not in this Jaguars offensive plan, because worst case, he has a similar role next year. That's the worst case scenario. Best case scenario is he becomes the lead back and gets 15 to 18 touches a game. And then you've got goal line work plus possible catching, receiving option out of the backfield. Player Profiler comps him to CJ Spiller.
Yeah.
Fantasy gold, CJ Spiller. All right. Why, before we go with my last player, Zigsta from YouTube has a question that kind of ties into some of the tight ends we've been discussing. Mark Andrews, Strange, Ertz, Gadsden, half PPR rest of season. He's been holding on Andrews and Gadsden, but doesn't want to have to keep two of those tight ends on his roster. So, you know, there's a few ways we can go. Yeah, I know I'm frozen here. I get it. We'll figure out the video in a second, but I'm going to give you a moment to talk through this question while I figure it out.
Yeah, a couple weeks ago, this was pretty easily Gadsden. He'd been producing greatly in the offense. The offense was looking good, but that Chargers offense, with all the offensive line injuries that they've dealt with, they've kind of become more run heavy. They've had trouble passing as well. Gadsden's snap shares have gone down as they've become more run heavy because he is basically just a wide receiver. So it's not as simple as just Gadsden anymore. Mark Andrews, there was a point in time where he looked like he was really good, but this Baltimore passing offense is not where we want it to be. Lamar Jackson struggling. Brenton Strange, we just talked about how we feel comfortable with him as a tight end one, but for being honest, probably a low end tight end one.
Yes.
Ertz, it's all like game script based, I think. Like, how much are they passing in that given game? Like, this past game, Mariota was having to drop back and pass a lot. He was playing really well. Ertz had a great day. How consistent is that? I don't know. You know, like,
even when Daniels returns, like, is Daniels going to look Ertz's way?
Yeah, because Terry McLaurin's back as well. Debo is still healthy currently. I'm kind of leaning Strange as the, I think, player I have the best ability to project moving forward, where like I kind of know what I'm getting out of Strange, whereas the rest I don't feel as comfortable with it. They're really boom bust, which can be a place that you want to be going into a matchup, you know, if you feel like you need to shoot for the fences. But for me personally, heading into the playoffs, I kind of just want to take my, you know, like 11 to 12 points per game from Strange and move on.
Yeah, I'm here for Strange's consistency. We know what Jacksonville, like, it's Jakobi Meyers, Brenton Strange, the receiving options. Brian Thomas will be hit or miss. Gadsden was very hot at the beginning, but Wyatt, I don't know if you mentioned this when I had to step out, but Gadsden's been doing a lot more blocking since Joe Alt has been out. And Alt has been out for some weeks. And so Gadsden, even though he's more of a receiving tight end, and he does have the chunk plays, like he had a 28-yard reception last week. Like they will send him down the field and he can catch. But he's not getting as many opportunities to do that because he has to stay back and block. Because when you're missing your top tackle, and you need additional protection. I mean, look, Justin Herbert already has a fracture in his hand. He may or may not play this week, but Gadsden, like, that kind of nerfs the upside that exists in terms of volume of potential explosive plays for Gadsden. Like, he can still have two 25-yard catches, but guess what? That's 2 for 50, and that's not going to get it done unless he falls in the end zone. Whereas we know Strange is pretty much a lock for 4 for 50, plus anything more than that is sprinkle, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, Dane jumps in, says Joe Alt deleted, plus a tough schedule makes it hard to insert him. Yup.
Yeah, the offensive line injuries have just changed the way the offense works, and it's really hurt everybody.
Absolutely. All right, one last play here, and I gotta stay with the homer picks. I'm here for it. We all know who Bradley's gonna pick. Oh, everyone sees all of the Green Bay in the background. I have to get one of my Packers, go Pack Go, into this show, and that's gonna be wide receiver Christian Watson. And you're probably thinking to yourself, but Bradley, I heard from the rumor mill, I heard from a carrier pigeon that Jaden Reed might be activated off of the IR. Oh, Bradley, I'm so concerned. Oh, no. Christian Watson is finally back to full health, and he is being targeted in the way that he was a few years ago when he was the guy. He was getting a 20-something% target share, almost 25% target share. In fact, in year one, in his rookie year, had Christian Watson come down with the first play of his NFL career. Like, if you remember this, right?
Mhm.
Wyatt, it was like a 65-yard bomb that Aaron Rodgers just wanted to test Watson, and it goes right through his hands. And that's, kind of been Watson's fatal flaw throughout this process. If he comes down with that, he puts up like a top 5 yards per route run on the season among wide receivers. Like, one play is all the difference that it was like a top 12 yards per route run guy his rookie year. And then year 2, just majorly targeted, but injured. And that's been the issue with Watson, is he's not been able to stay healthy. But he is wide receiver 25 in fantasy points per game on the season. And we look at his game log, week 11, 5 targets, 4 receptions, 2 touchdowns, 46 yards. Wide receiver 6. Week 12, 7 targets, 5 receptions, 49 yards. Yeah, 87 air yards, though. He's had no fewer than 73 air yards in every single game. He had 186 against Detroit, 4 for 80 and a touchdown on 10 targets. 10 targets, wide receiver 12. Who's the go-to guy? Tucker Kraft is out for the year. Jaden Reed, he will need some ramp up even if he comes back this year.
Yep.
So it's Christian Watson who is getting all of these targets, 17 targets over the last 2 weeks. They're going to continue to lean on it, especially because Josh Jacobs banged up. They like to lean on Josh Jacobs, but Watson is getting peppered all over the field, short, long, everywhere in between. And 3 of his 6 games over 110 air yards. They're trying to get him. He is a weapon. You want boom games, and Christian Watson has access to the 20-point games that just set you apart from all of the other. He may still be on your waiver wire in your shallow leagues. This is a player who can end up getting into your flex and maybe even wide receiver 2. So give me Christian Watson through your playoffs.
Yeah, we talked about Christian Watson on press coverage this week, and where I kind of landed is that I think he's a wide receiver 3 rest of the season. In 3 wide receiver leagues, he should be started. He's probably going to still be a little bit boom bust, but I do think his play has improved. As he's grown in the offense, his role in the offense is about as good as you can ask for a Green Bay wide receiver, because they do rotate, but it's still pretty good. It's about as good as you could ask for. Just accounting for Jaden Reed, Matthew Golden just a tiny bit. I don't really think they affect him too much, but I do think that Green Bay will rotate them in.
Golden has been a massive disappointment this rookie year. Yeah.
Yeah. But he's a wide receiver 3 that's a little bit more boom bust than your average player, but he's definitely should be started.
He reminds me so much of Will Fuller.
Mm-hmm.
He has the potential to be top 12. It probably won't ever be, but he can spike almost as high as anyone in the league. Even if Green Bay can just tick up the passing volume just a little bit more.
Just a little bit.
just a little bit. And with 10 targets, can't argue with that in the Green Bay offense. All right, Wyatt, this has been a lot of fun. Tell the people about some of your recent work. I know you crush it with the player profiler content. So tell us about what you do.
Sure. So press coverage comes out every Wednesday. Me and a guest going over some players, some storylines moving forward. And then every Monday, my weekly usage report drops, going over the biggest usage trends from the previous week.
Yeah, the usage trends are just so valuable. And it's on Player Profiler, right? So people can get it for
Certainly
free.
is.
For free.
Certainly can.
Check it out. Get all of Wyatt stuff. Make sure you're following Wyatt at WyattB_FF. I'm Bradley at FF Stalder. Until next time, everyone, good luck in your waiver wires. Good luck in your fantasy football playoffs. Good luck as we close out the regular season here in 2025.